Oh, sorry for that door closing. That was pretty loud. Anyway, Ret versus Melle. Do you have any inside information?
Not particularly. I cast Melee in the very first cast I did for the Dutch StarCraft League, which is a really long time ago, actually. It was part of the qualifiers, so actually, my memory doesn't really extend back that far, unfortunately. But, well, I can say that we'll be another ZVP. We're getting our full dose of this matchup today, and, well, the final's going to be like this as well, because still no Terrans in the final unless someone drops out, and we do see Youth Thermal move in to take that spot. But in the meantime, it's Zerg and Protoss all the way.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, wow. I don't know. Of course, the viewers can't see what we're seeing, but I don't know who Melle is, but he has a much more shiny portrait than not mine, I must say, because after all, he is Grandmasters. And if you would allow me to introduce the said person we're speaking of, it is Melle as the green Protoss in the top left of Belcheriestige. And he is, of course, representing Lowland Lions.
And in the bottom right, we have one of the most consistent Dutch players in the StarCraft, not only two, but Brood War scene. He was one of the better foreigners to go over to Korea. He's our Red Zerg player. He is Liquid.Ret. So very excited to see what he can bring to the table. And yeah, so he's actually the losers bracket player as well. The better known players seem to be coming up through the losers bracket. It's like they were playing before. They're like, it doesn't matter that much. And they lose one. They're like, wait a minute, I lost? Like, no, this is going to happen. Then they just come back and win everything. So we'll see what Ret can do here against Melle.
I mean, there is actually a reasonable explanation to why the best players are actually coming down through the lower bracket. I was actually bribing them so they could give us more games to cast. That's basically how this all happened. But, however this came about being, at least, we will we'll rejoice in having to cast these awesome players. We're seeing quite a lot of Dutch, but also yet another Forge Fast Expand, which seems to be the reoccurring theme as of lately, at least from the players we've casted. And Melle seems to be opting for the Nexus first as well.
Yep, and this map's pretty big, so I don't blame him at all for doing that. Ret's just doing some very standard stuff of his own, getting that. I assume it was a 15 pool. I didn't actually spot the exact moment it went down, but he'll likely take his hatchery here any moment. And, I mean, it's Ret, so he's going to make drones. He's going to make a lot of them, and then look to macro up and win. But we'll have to see what Melle's style is as well here, because, I mean, we got really our fair share of all-ins in the previous match, so we'll have to see what his style is. If he maybe goes for a bit more of a macro style. This is not the easiest map to do it on as Protoss, but we could still see it. So hoping for a bit of a change in gameplay here from Protoss.
Yeah, I would also be a bit surprised if we saw that specific style on this specific map, but of course Melle could definitely come out and surprise us out of nowhere. We're having, I'm a bit worried, of course, you mentioned, you touched slightly upon the subject in a previous best out of 3 between two different players. I can't really remember what players though. This ramp, sorry, not this ramp, but this natural choke is very large. Not the best place to go a Forge Fast Expand with a Nexus first on, but it seems that he is alright actually. I don't actually... Oh, there the first links are a bit later than I would expect, so no worries for him right now. But I was a bit worried there for just a second.
Yeah, like you were saying, I mean, you can always hold on those minerals and put down that gateway. Like we saw, actually, was that the previous... I'm trying to remember which Hearthstone game it was, but like putting down that gateway, just holding it off for just a little bit until that cannon can finish, and then you're safe and you're sound. But... well, there's no probe in place here, so I think these lings might well get in if the probe doesn't come down here pretty quickly. Okay, there he is. He's back. So let's see if he does make that gateway and try to wall this off and keep those lings out.
Actually, I believe a cybernetics and just hold position would do it, but well, the lings doesn't really want to dwell far too deep into Protoss territory right there because of that nasty cannon. Double gas going down from Melle, but it takes some time before he starts putting workers into it though, but there we finally go, and this is all standard play right here. Classical Forge Fast Expand is going to give us some time to just analyze the game, analyze all sorts of different things, because I am willing to predict not very much is going to happen for quite some time now.
Yeah, probably not. Ret's got that third hatchery more than halfway done at this point in time, so no surprise from him. You don't really expect early aggression from this fine fellow for Liquid, so gonna see a Stalker, Chrono boosted out. Might go for just a bit of an annoying poke with the Stalker and his to see what he can get done with that, but other than that, not a whole lot gonna be happening for a while here, but curious to see what he decides to go for. Stargate could potentially work as well on this map. I I just really don't want to see another Century Immortal, and anything other than that, I'm going to be pretty happy with it, I think.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, first Century Immortal, I was like, oh, this is interesting, maybe we could enjoy this. And then after, a couple of them in a row, to be precise, 4 of them, you sort of started getting bored of it. But Melle, he's not that type of guy, because he goes for a completely different tech. He, in fact, goes for the Stargate.
Yep, and I like the positioning on this. It's not going to get spotted immediately by Rhett's Overlords. Normally, you would bring them in from the, in towards the main base from the side where he's looking to do currently, and also checking from the right side with that Overlord. So this Stargate might go undiscovered for a decent bit here. And let's see how effective. I'm assuming it's going to be Phoenix, but I'm obviously not 100% sure. We don't know until he starts making it. But we'll see how effective they can be against Rhett, and if Rhett's going to be able to deal with this satisfactorily.
Good extractor. Well, it's a different extractor trick right there, making sure the drone survives. Melle is a bit trapped right here. Lynx are just too quick on speed, but it looks like the Stark is going to get away. However, only with half health remaining, and that Zealot goes down as well. We're seeing a Void Ray in production first. Now, this is something I'm not far too familiar with. Could it be an Atos play, perhaps? Because usually we do, in fact, see Phoenixes.
Yeah, he's going for the Void Ray and taking a very fast third base with a couple of cannons there to help defend it. And yeah, it looks like he maybe wants to just sit on these 3 bases and get that Sky Toss up. I think that's really the best way to really play this out if you go Void Ray first. Because if you go Void Ray first, it's not quite as fast as a Phoenix. It doesn't give you that immediate Overlord clearing ability that you're used to seeing. So I'm not really too sure about making it first. But if you want to get that Void Ray count started, obviously it saves you some time. It gives you 1 extra Void Ray than you would have had if you maybe made a Phoenix to try and get some vision. But instead, we do see these Void Rays on the way out, and we'll start Melt Overlords, so Rhett knows that Void Rays are already out on the field.
Yeah, and I feel that Red is going for the proper response right here. We see additional gateways, which become the sort of SimCity to the third base, and a solid 2 cannons to defend versus any Ling run-bys. I was just about to mention, Red is doing the proper response here, at least according to me, where he does go for the heavy droning in response to his target, because there is nothing to threaten his drones, basically. However, he's taking a 4th base. If this had been scouted, I would have been afraid on his end. Actually, you know what? I'm willing to say he's taking 2 4th bases. His plan right here is that one of them will be scouted, and he's going to sacrifice that one. But the other one will probably flourish.
Yeah, he's expecting Sky Toss here, 100%, and I really like doing this against Sky Toss, because they really can't come across the map and kill you until they get that army that they really want, because Void Rays by themselves just aren't the most effective composition in the world. But so this gives Rhett time to take bases, and basically you can just kind of flood units at your opponent. But right now we actually see a small little force moving across the map, and this might be not what Rhett was quite expecting, a move out this early from Melle. And, well, this first 4th base, I'm going to go ahead and call it, might be in a bit of danger, and probably will have to be canceled here, I think.
Yeah, I would love to see the Protoss forces just waiting a bit so that it has to finish, but no,
there are a fair amount of Lings here, but the Lings will clean the ground. But, Void Rays, Lings can't jump, so going to be a bit of an issue here, and this hatch race is going to be in a fair bit of trouble here in a second once these Void Rays get going. And, well, Rhett wasn't quite expecting this when he took 2 bases, I don't think.
Yeah, and now that when Prismatic Alignment has been activated, well, there we go, finish off. Ironically, that he finishes off with a Zealot, and that Zealot, is on a suicide mission, so he does go down eventually. However, all those drones being rallied to the 4th actually go to the 2nd 4th, which, well, is the 1/4 right now. And I'm actually a bit surprised. We're seeing a lot of mutas being produced, and it looks like Red might just go all-out muta play right here. And if he manages to get all these bases up, he's going to have the sickest gas intake.
Yeah, I really like going mutas in this situation. If he goes, well, Void Rays are not tremendously good against mutas. They're very good against Corruptors with the Prismatic Alignment, but not tremendous against mutas by themselves. I think is a really good follow-up to when you take these extra 2 bases, going from mutas, and then maybe not necessarily trading mutas, but you can fight face-to-face with them and basically be really, really obnoxious, force the Void Rays to at least move around and deal with you, and you're basically kind of just trading and keeping the Protoss back, try to keep the Void Ray count low as well. If you can take any Void Rays out, that's a huge victory. But here come the mutas for the first time, and they're doing some pretty significant probe damage right off the bat, it looks like, and they keep following this trail of probes, they will still do more and more damage, and yeah, this is a very good start for Rhett. And, what do you do with the Void Rays if you're Melle? They're out of position, they're trying to float back now, but these mutas are just going to work on these probes.
Yeah, I'm a bit afraid that he's losing far too many workers right here. He's lost 22. That's precisely the type of accomplishments you want to do when you tech switch mutas this heavily. We're seeing the fleet beacon being put down. We see the additional, a total of 5 Phoenixes, or 6 Phoenixes actually, going to be out fairly soon. With the +2 range, it will be enough to defend here. And look, actually a Ling run by going down on the 3rd here of Melle, and Melle is a lot under pressure. He's actually even moving out to try to counter this.
I want to point out that Ret already has 93 drones as well. That's quite a few drones, but he does need to defend this little push here. That is, when you have this many drones, well, you're a little low on defensive units, and, well, this Hatcher's just going to melt very, very fast, because I feel like he can maybe go for a straight-up fight with these, well, not with all these Phoenix out in the map now. The Muta's going to be significantly less effective now. They had a timing where I feel like they would have been very, very effective against the army of Melle when it was just Void Rays, but now with the Phoenix in play, it can be a lot harder to engage straight up, and with this giant ball of Mutas, you really, when you invest that much in them, you need them to be effective in combat as well, not just in harass, because otherwise, well, how do you fight when you have so much supply and money invested in only just Mutalisks?
Yeah, and look, we're having the Anion Pulse Crystals, which I actually had no clue what the name was, more commonly known as Phoenix +2 range, being nearly done, and the Phoenix count is very high. So you really need to rely on these Corruptors to try to fend off the Phoenixes as a Zerg in this position. But there are not that many Corruptors either. I must also say, a bit of sloppy. I saw the 4th, the left 4th, which I guess is the 5th, from Ret, not really having optimal gas saturation, so he's lost out a lot on that, and therefore he's floating way more minerals than he's floating gas. Perhaps that is not the sole purpose, but it would have at least helped a bit. And in terms of upgrades, the players are actually fairly equal.
Yeah, and as far as the mineral stash is concerned, when you're going like pure air almost as Zerg, I mean, there are a few Lings on the ground, obviously, but I mean, he has invested a ton into this air army. There are so many Mutalisks on the field right now, 28 and 9 Corruptors. You gotta try and take a fight here. Void Rays starting to go to work, but the Void Rays should die here to the Mutas pretty quickly, leaving the Corruptors to defend with the Phoenix. But the Void Rays not really being focus fired that brilliantly, but this fight, all the Void Rays will fall. Most of the Corruptors are still standing. The Phoenix are cutting very well, and that range is allowing them to just do a ton of damage here, and the air upgrade's also going to help out those Phoenix as well. But at the end of the day, Ret's supply is pretty high right now, and this is a lot of it's actually pretty high value supply. But I mean, getting the Zergling run by, and that's actually really annoying. That's a lot of probes going to go down once again here, and only Phoenix really left on the field for Melle. That's not really the best, but Ret does lose a lot of supply, losing all his Corruptors pretty much, and I think losing Mutas as well. No, a few survived, but a lot of the Mutas are dead now, so.
Yeah, I feel that the only thing making Red actually sort of doing well in this situation right here is, of course, his number of bases, but also that he has accomplished a bit of harass. He has traded well. The natural for Melle is completely empty at the moment. He's not really getting the optimal gas intake. In terms of that fight, the Mutas were quite cleared up by the Phoenixes, and there's a lot of Phoenixes out. We do need more Corruptors at this stage, because Corruptors is basically the one thing which stops those Mutas from absolutely evaporating. These 3 Mutas have been in the middle of the map for ages, but now they finally die, and I'm actually... Melle seems to be in a really good position right here if he manages to kill off all these Corruptors, I would say.
Yeah, and he's doing absolute work, killing some Overlords as well, and well, now that this Phoenix count is what it is, the Mutas just aren't going to be as effective as he would like. Like, the initial swell of Mutas was really nice, but there's so many Phoenix out in the field now, they're going to give chase to the Mutas, actually, and start going to work on them. And, well, I mean, what do you do? I mean, Ret's invested heavily into this, and he didn't try to tech switch at all. He's just continuing to go air. He's making more Corruptors. He's adding on Flyer Carapace, adding on 16 drones, I guess. But, the air advantage is really in Melle's favor right now. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. There's the tech switch. Hydra's infestation pit on the way as well. So I think Ret might try to switch out of this air composition finally.
Yeah, but I feel that this is more a desperation move than anything. We're actually having some good Ling harassment, killing off these cannons only, unfortunately, for Ret. So he's not accomplishing far too much, and it looks like the Lings might be cleared up. Well, the Ling numbers are at least not high enough to threaten this base, really. And this Phoenix count, I'm surprised he's not utilizing the Phoenix or the air superiority anymore. First of all, there's a huge amount of vulnerable Overlords here in the natural, but the Mutas and even the Corruptors can easily clear it up. And there we see the Corruptors go. These Phoenixes are just too many for a puny number of Corruptors to stop.
Yep, and yeah, now he's switching into the upgrades for those Hydras. He's getting Overlord speed as well to try and help some of those Overlords out as well. But he's getting the Hydralist range +1, as well as +2 Carapace for those ground units. Starting to switch back more into that ground unit. And well, if he switches a lot into ground, I mean, Phoenix, like we said before, in big numbers, pretty good against Hydras. But if it's just a huge ground army and all you have is like really like Phoenix and then some ground forces, the Phoenix aren't going to be like that tremendously useful. You have to like lift everything to be effective. And you're pressing G a lot and getting a lot of lifts. And we're going to see a bit of a fight again. 4 Mutas just going to get probably absolutely mauled here. Some Zealots moving in. There's not a whole lot to stop them at this point in time, but here are some Zerglings coming in. The Mutas are going to help out as well because the Corruptors are engaging Phoenix. And at the end of the day, all the Zealots get cleaned up. Phoenix are still being an absolute terror. Supply blocking Ret. And yeah, these Overlords are going to be a huge problem because he's just be constantly losing them all over the place this game.
Yeah, I do feel that. I mean, the Hydra count is getting higher and higher and higher, and you need something versus that, basically. We're seeing Void Rays in production right here, which is sort of the more common response, because after all, Melle doesn't really know what's waiting for him. Also, he's starting to deplete some minerals at his 2 first bases. He really needs to take that 4th, and that's being denied right now here at the 4th location. I fear the Hydras might be enough with the Infestors, and actually, wow, is that Enduring Locust being researched?
Yeah, it is. Swarm Host on the way here, and Infestors as well as Infestors being made as well, so can actually utilize some of those Infestors as well. You don't see them very often these days, but, well, Phoenix need to be a lot more careful. Those Hydras just kill Phoenix so fast sometimes, and Ret was trying to expand where Melle was trying to make his 4th base. That would have been just like, wait, come on now, get out of here with that drone.
Yeah.
So that base isn't going to happen, but Mello's going to go ahead and try and take that himself, it looks like. And, well, it's going to be all about holding that base for him, I think, because, I mean, like you said, Mineral's thinning out a lot. That main base getting pretty close to empty. Natural, not too far behind, so it's going to be tough to see if he can hold on that 4th base, and Ret should know that will be the issue for his opponent, and should do his best to deny that location.
Yeah, it looks like I was actually willing to give Melle the very, very heavy lead for most of the game, but these Infestors, if they get a fungal off, especially when the Phoenixes are clumped, and that's a decent one, I would say, now the Hydras can come in and absolutely pick apart these Phoenixes. Or we're gonna get another fungal? Oh, well, not far too many right there. The Hydras are just too many numbers. Zealot's actually clearing up quite a lot of Hydras on one end, but I fear it's definitely not going to be enough. 15 Hydras, 15 additional Hydras in production from Ret, and
Ret's ahead by 100 supply now. That was a great fight for him. Those fungals leading it off, that was just the initiation he needed to really move in. And yeah, Void Ray being rallied to not a very cool place. And there's just so many Hydras, like, what does... There's no Colossus tech. There's no way... How does Melle deal with this? Ret can just keep making Hydras. There's nothing to stop him at this point in time.
Well, I feel that when you've dedicated this much to Phoenixes, there is absolutely nothing other than Phoenixes to produce either. And the DT Shrine is going to finish, but I don't think it's going to make much difference. Definitely going to start clearing up a couple of Hydras, but oh wait, there are actually Infestors, which soon will have enough energy to reveal those as well. So basically looking like Ret is in a absolutely splendid position, and Ultralisk Cavern on the way as well.
Lots of Infestors getting lifted, but I mean they flew over all those Hydras and they all basically all the Phoenix. That was just the backbone of his army, and Melle will